Today I want to talk to you a little bit about the meaning of progressivism to me and perhaps to many of you. Before we get into the weeds about what the meaning of progressivism is to me or to some of you, I want to ask all of you to raise your hands if you consider yourself progressives. Good. There are a couple of conservatives. That's good too. For me, everything started in my childhood. You know, that little boy, actually, not me, that one right there, that's me back in the day when I was about 3 years of age in Mexico. And everything started there. You know, I grew up out of poverty and made some progress. So I want to talk to you a little bit about a journey as a brown person in the United States, coming from Mexico to Wisconsin, then to Arizona, and then to this wonderful state of Oregon. When I moved first to the United States, I experienced a cultural shock like probably every other immigrant. You know, new food, a new language, and certainly a new way to look at people. When I moved to Wisconsin in 1998, I learned, for example, that Mexicans are supposed to be the bussers, the cooks, the room service workers, the factory workers, and so on and so forth. I moved into a very white community in central Wisconsin, imagine that. But I did feel very welcome. You know, people were really warm to me, and I didn't have any issues at all. You know, when I think about it, you know, I didn't think about race or ethnicity that much back then. I was a little clueless, to be frank. And I was very happy in so many ways. My Latin American friends and myself in some ways enjoy being different. Why not? You know, girls thought our accents were kind of cute. Boys were trying to help us to fit in, and everybody enjoyed our dancing parties. So why not? Enjoy it. I felt cared for. This might sound shocking and strange to many new immigrants coming from Mexico, where some, I assume, are good people. No political reference there. So, you know, moving to the United States has been a tremendous journey. And living in Arizona was a really humbling experience when I moved from Wisconsin to Arizona. It was a really humbling learning experience. It was wonderful, but also very exhausting. Learning every day that somebody was being deported, arrested, separated from their families was exhausting and in some cases demoralizing. I remember the many times that a good friend of mine, Nick, a Korean American, discussed the possibility of moving to a place where everybody was progressive. And of course, you know, Portland came to mind. How wonderful would it be to be the conservative ones in this very place? So when I moved to Portland, I ended up moving to Portland myself just a few years ago. And my experience in Portland has been also wonderful. I learned that we're leaders in environmental justice, and I am very proud of that. I learned that we really care about all the living, our pets, our birds, our bugs in the forest, and everything around us. I also learned that we are leaders in gender equity, rights, and we should continue to move in that direction. However, nothing is perfect in life, and I think we're lacking a little bit in being progressive by taking care of each other. That gap of progressivism in our leadership and our systems make these progressive ideas around equity and inclusion a very fragile concept of progressivism. I must say that every time I go into the streets and see people sleeping everywhere, and see people that can't afford a house, and see people that can't afford their school or their medical bills for that matter, puts us into a really hard situation. So who are we and where are we? You know, Wisconsin was progressive before Scott Walker. Arizona is working on it. And I think we're a little confused here in Oregon, just a little bit. But it's work in progress anyway, right? It doesn't really matter where you place yourself in the bigger spectrum of progressivism. What it really matters is that we understand that progressivism by itself, it's a moving target. It is never a stationary concept. Progressivism by nature means that continues to move, and we need to embrace that concept. I, for example, think that progressivism is not necessarily a destination, it's a way of living, and we need to embrace that. I think everybody has experienced a progressive city that comes in ironic fashion, yielding bikes and paleo options in your local food cart. And sure, happy chickens, and soon will be there so you can eat them. Don't get me wrong, I still want my happy chickens that soon will be there so I can eat them. But truly, that is the low-hanging fruit of progressivism. We need to make sure that we address the hard truths of being progressive. Meaningful taxes, fair campaign reforms, immigration reform, clean energy projects, and so on and so forth. Also, we need to take a look at the past to understand how much progress we have made to date and understand also, what is it that we can change and reflect on those issues. Back in the 1900s, this city was still, brewing that progressive movement. In the 1920s, in 1921, for example, the Portland City Club, the first secretary said no more bags in this city, which is another concept for conservatives. And Mr. L.R. Wheeler was willing to welcome immigrants into this community, which was very nice. That was the progressive thing to do. However, in order to do that, he established the Americanization Committee, which outlined the high importance, the nation importance of teaching the American values and the American language to the people that were coming to this country. This very principle of progressivism outlines the progressive priority of erasing diversity in this community. Those ideas, whether they happen 100 years from now, or today, or tomorrow, should not be considered progressive. And we should, and I invite you to think about what progressivism means tomorrow, 100 years from today. I invite you to think about what these people will say from us and our social justice work 100 years from today. I ask you to think about what will the future of our kids will be when they are talking about ourselves. Moving to this community, I became Mexican again. Not that I wasn't. But our systems, our society, our own beloved diversity, equity, and inclusion policies keep reminding me of this every day. And it's not necessarily a fun place to be in. They are, by all means, the right start. These ideas of caring for each other are the right start. But we need to move fast and forward and evolve them into practices that really allocate the resources for communities of color and other communities to really get ahead and ensure them a successful future. We cannot stand on the sidelines anymore. We cannot pretend that we care or that we want to be cool or that we want to drive an old Volvo just because it's cool, or say that we eat organic, expensive food just because. All of those are good things, no doubt. But we need to get out of our comfort zone and question what we're doing. Let's not be the progressives that think they are progressives while they are sitting on the sidelines doing absolutely nothing to bring change. I believe that this community has all the foundations, and the leadership should be coming from you to advance those progressive ideas to take care of each other. To be truly a social progressive individual in this community, we need to advance and put the resources behind them. I don't think it is fair when many people, and systems, when we are growing up, when we are being taught that sharing is caring, when we're taught as kids that sharing is the right thing to do, I don't think we evolve on that same direction. We forget as adults that about that concept. And those ideas of not sharing, accumulating power get translated into our systems, into our government agencies, into our overall community. And we tend to displace resources through competitive processes that really are putting people to compete when they are not on the same level or have the same resources to compete for those additional resources to continue to grow and be developed. This only places and gives the benefit to the few while the many continue to be left behind. Overall, I think we have over-exaggerated our social evolution. We think we're progressive because we eat that expensive food. Some people think they are compassionate because they let anyone sleep in front of their office space in downtown. Some others think they are progressive simply because they are riding a bicycle. Again, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we need to move on from those ideas. I want to finish with this thought. And I don't want to speak for every person of color in this country, or this community for that matter. But we don't need apologies for what happened in the past. Yes, it is nice to hear those apologies. Yes, it is nice and welcome, when we hear them. What we need is your support. What we need is your investment. What we need is your love. I know you have ours. I am here because white and people of color alike believed in me, invested in me. I am here because those people pushed me to be where I am today. So I'm asking you, and we must ask ourselves, who are we going to be investing in and supporting in moving forward? I hope that you guys invest on us. Thank you.